Hey, when I teach people in person, I like to use some really simple ideas, simple concepts, to where the person can kind of take them and kind of run with it and start to use it as a building block to build something really great around it. So right after this, let me show you a series of little simple concepts that all build on top of each other that are really going to help you get a feel for hitting the ball straight and long. I think you're going to be really happy after you do these. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve from hititlonger.com. I hope you get so much value out of this video that you like and subscribe. All right, let's start with a really simple concept. Using the right wrist. What we're going to do is just hold out your arm like this. You don't even need a club for this part. Just hold your arm out. Oh, like you're shaking hands with somebody. So your hand is going to be, maybe about as high as your belly button, just right about here. Now, all I want you to do here is flap it back and forth, like this. Try to keep it as if, let's say you're setting it on a table. So your arm can't go up and down. I don't want your arm right now to go back and forth either. We're just going to isolate to the wrist joint, just sliding along the table. So your pinky would be sliding along if there was a table underneath it, just like this. You can even do this at home on a table or maybe a counter. Figure that out, that movement. Now let's add a little bit of elbow to that. Again, the concept would be that you're trying to keep that pinky flush with the table. You're trying to keep your hand vertical. Now let's start to add a little bit of elbow bend while keeping the hand in the same place. Wrist and elbow. So you're going to start to draw your arm back and a little bit and let your elbow bend just like that. And then I want you to return back just like you were doing just with the wrist, like that. So elbow goes back to extended and wrist goes into this position, kind of flaps through like that. So we don't need any of this. And right now all we're doing is drawing the wrist back and then starting to bend the elbow as we bring the arm back. So let's continue doing that all the way till the arm is on the side of our body like this. Again, you're still feeling like if you had a counter over here, your pinky side of your hand would be resting flush on it, but bent back like this. And then again, you'll just scrape that pinky side around the counter and flap the wrist, just like that. Now here you've got one of the most powerful moves that you could ever make in the golf swing, and that is a release that will keep the power up, but keep the club face rotation down. Really big key to hitting it long and straight. Now, when you add this, you can just add a club to this now. Again, pretend that your hand is resting on maybe a counter or a table. The toe of the club is straight up and down, you notice? And as I bend the wrist back and flap it through, the club advances or slides along the table or the counter, but the toe stays vertical, straight up the whole way. Now let's do the same exercise. Notice I'm gripping way down to make the club feel lighter. There's the wrist. Let's add the bending of the elbow here. And then again through. Here, here. Until you're finally drawing it all the way back. You have to bend the elbow a little bit more and more until the arm's on the side of your body, just like this. And then extend and let the wrist flap through like that. So you can even practice that out on a workbench or a table, something like that. Now, of course, the ball's not up here. We would need a batting tee for that. However, if we can bend to about a 30-degree angle, so here's our tabletop is now almost tipped over on an edge here, like this, and do the same exercise. Just like that. You're really keeping the club face moving square around the correct arc And you're adding power by straightening the elbow and flapping the wrist, just as you would do if you were skipping a rock or throwing something, or maybe striking a racquetball. With the elbow straightening and the wrist flapping, it's a very loose, rubbery feeling. It's not a tight, controlled motion. It's a very whippety motion with the elbow and the wrist as relaxed and free dangling from the ligaments as you can get. It's a quick whipping action that we're going for with these motions. Now, you really want to add one more concept to this. Like I said, we started with the simple concept of the wrist moving back and forth. We added the elbow, we added the arm, we've added the bow. Now you can add the follow through with the arm going through the other way as well. And that would look just as like you were going to pick up a ball, and instead of throwing it to the catcher or to the second baseman, if you were the catcher side arming it to second base, so let's say you're the pitcher, you're trying to arm it, flap it through straight over the plate like I did on the first one. But instead, here's our bow, and of course that lowers the arm from the navel down to here. There's the arm action compound. Again, I just did the wrist, let the elbow bend, and the arm draw back to the side of my body. Now, instead of throwing it straight, I want you to turn and throw it halfway between second and third, almost to third base. Let's see that again. Again, simple concept. Hand on the table, flap, 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 flap. Start adding the flap with a little elbow, bending, and straighten it and flap again. Then keep adding elbow bend, letting the arm draw back to the side, and flap. No movement this. Just keep that hand pinky side to the table or the counter. Now add the forward bend. Instead of going straight ahead with your throw, I want you to intend to turn and throw it, fling it, submarine style like a rock skip, but let's go down the third baseline here. Like that. When you're able to execute, starting with those basic building blocks, and you're able to execute a motion just like I've shown you, using all these components in a building block form, you will really have shown yourself an excellent golf swing. Very, very simple. You can then, once you've learned how to use a ball, maybe you're out in the backyard throwing the tennis ball for your dog and you can practice this, or out in the park, or maybe skipping rocks at a nearby pond or stream that's near your house, maybe the ocean. Take a club and grip down. Okay, here, wrist, wrist, along the table, wrist and elbow. Flap back again. All the way to the side of the body, letting the elbow fold more and more, and back again. Bow and do the same thing. And now bow and throw the club around towards left field. You'll find that all of a sudden you've got a golf swing that you never knew you had in you. Really amazing. It's a very simple building block concept. You don't have to learn it all in one day. You can practice just the first move. And let's see if you can now, you can put both hands on the club. Just like that. It's the same feel. The left arm doesn't have to do much at all. The left wrist just simply has to conform to with what the right wrist is trying to do and assist it. And when you can get the left arm out of the way Stop doing stuff with it. Stop trying to pull with it. Instead, just think about using that flapping action and elbow straightening action to sling the club head around into left field. You're going to have a good golf swing. Let's just watch a small swing here. What have I done there? I've just made a nicely on plane impact zone. Straight path, square face, solid contact, and just that little smooth half swing. We're going right at 150 yards with an 8-iron. Tons of power relative to the effort. When you use these building blocks, wrist, elbow, draw the arm back. Now, remember that rubbery, loose, dangling from the ligaments of the elbow and wrist, whipping action. Instead of whipping it to second base, we're turning and whipping it around to left field. You'll hit the ball so long and straight with so little effort, you'll realize that you've been making golf much too complicated all this time. So go back and redo these building blocks often, and then start to use them in your swing at the range, and hopefully you'll really get on the right track. Hey, I really appreciate your support. Would you help me get to 100,000 subscribers? Just go down and click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you like this video and got some value out of it. And leave a comment down below, especially if you have any questions about this series of drills. I'm Steve. If you need more help, head over to my website, hititlonger.com. And as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.